Hey, Stoic friends, listen closely. The clock reads 4:53 a.m. Your body knows something your mind hasn't admitted yet. That trembling in your chest isn't fear anymore. It's your soul recognizing its moment of rebellion. While the world sleeps in their comfortable cages, you're awake because mediocrity has become more painful than change. Marcus Aurelius once carved these words into his private journal while plague ravaged Rome and enemies surrounded his borders. At dawn, when you had trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I have to go to work as a human being. What do I have to complain of if I'm going to do what I was born for? You feel that disconnect, don't you? Between who you are at 3 a.m. when insomnia strips away your masks and who you pretend to be when daylight demands your performance. That gap is killing you slowly, one compromised morning at a time. You've become a stranger to your own potential, apologizing for taking up space in your own life. The ancient Stoics understood something we've forgotten in our age of instant gratification and numbing distractions. They knew that every dawn is a battlefield where your higher self wages war against your comfortable demons. Not with swords and shields, but with choices so small they seem insignificant until they accumulate into destiny. You've been sleepwalking through your mornings, haven't you? Letting life happen to you like you're a passenger in your own existence. Your morning routine has become a funeral procession for your dreams, each day identical to the last. Each sunrise witnessing another piece of your spirit surrendering to routine's seductive grave. But something brought you here, to these words, at this exact moment. Maybe it was that glimpse of yourself in the mirror last night, that flash of recognition of the warrior still breathing beneath the wounds. Maybe it was that conversation where someone asked about your dreams and you realized you'd forgotten how to answer. Or maybe it was simply the exhaustion of pretending that settling for less is somehow noble. The Stoics weren't philosophers hiding in libraries. They were emperors facing assassination attempts, slaves earning their freedom, merchants losing everything and rebuilding empires from ashes. They discovered that the morning hours hold a secret alchemy, the power to transmute suffering into strength, chaos into character, ordinary existence into extraordinary living. Right now, before we venture deeper into this transformation, I need you to commit. Like this video if you're ready to stop negotiating with your potential. Subscribe because this channel is your daily training ground for mental sovereignty. Share this with someone whose light is dimming. And whatever you do, don't skip ahead. Each principle is a key, and you need them all to unlock your cage. Drop this affirmation in the comments. My morning rebellion starts now. Now let's dive in. Number 1. The sacred rage of rising. Seneca whispered something dangerous from his exile. Every new thing excites the mind, but a mind that seeks truth turns from the new and seeks the old truths that it has forgotten. Tomorrow morning, when consciousness first cracks through sleep's comfortable coffin, you'll face the first assassination attempt on your potential. That bed isn't just warm, it's a silk-lined tomb where dreams go to decompose. The snooze button isn't offering you 9 more minutes of rest. It's stealing 9 more minutes of your finite existence. There's a violence required in true awakening that nobody discusses. Not physical violence, but the beautiful brutality of tearing yourself from comfort's seductive embrace. When you rise in the darkness, while others marinate in their excuses, you're committing an act of revolution against the ordinary world's gravitational pull. The morning darkness is your co-conspirator. It watches you move through your home like a ghost of your future self. haunting the spaces where your current self will later compromise and capitulate. In these pre-dawn moments, you're not just waking up, you're rehearsing your resurrection. Ancient Stoics practiced something called premeditatio malorum, imagining loss to appreciate presence. But I want you to practice something different. Tomorrow morning, stand in your darkness and imagine yourself at 80, looking back at this exact moment. Feel the weight of every morning you surrendered to comfort. Taste the bitter ash of potential you never pursued. Let that future regret inject liquid lightning into your present veins. Your morning rising isn't just about productivity or success. It's about honoring the statistical impossibility of your existence. Billions of years of cosmic evolution, countless ancestors surviving impossible odds, infinite moments aligning, all culminating in you, lying there, debating whether to hit snooze. The universe doesn't care about your comfort. History won't record your extra sleep. But rising when every cell screams for surrender? That's you writing your name in eternity's ledger with invisible ink that only warriors can read. When you throw off those covers tomorrow, you're not just getting up. You're accepting the sacred burden of consciousness, the beautiful curse of awareness, the magnificent responsibility of being alive when billions never got the chance. Number 2. The architecture of mental warfare. Epictetus, who wore chains before he wore wisdom, declared, "No one is free who is not master of himself." Your mind at dawn is a coliseum where gladiators of thought battle for dominance. Anxiety arrives armored in tomorrow's catastrophes. Regret wields yesterday's failures like poisoned blades. Meanwhile, your authentic self stands in the center, naked except for one weapon: choice. Most people wake up and immediately surrender their mental territory. They check their phones like prisoners counting bars, letting 10,000 strangers' opinions colonize their consciousness before they've had a single original thought. They've become volunteers in their own mental slavery, signing away their psychological sovereignty for the false comfort of distraction. But you're going to practice something the Stoics called the inner citadel. Before the world gets its hooks in your head, you're going to build an impenetrable fortress of intention. Sit in your morning darkness and feel the weight of your own skull, that bone cathedral where every decision that will shape your day is already being written. Listen closely to the voices in that morning silence. One voice whispers about all you haven't become, listing your failures like a demonic accountant. Another voice, quieter but infinitely more powerful, speaks of what you could still build with today's hours. The Stoics knew that whichever voice you feed with your attention becomes your master. Tomorrow morning, try this experiment in mental architecture. Write down 3 words that represent who you're becoming, not who you've been. Warrior, creator, unbreakable. Whatever words make your spine straighten and your jaw clench with determination. Repeat them until they stop being words and start being coordinates for your consciousness. Your morning mind is wet cement. Every thought you allow to walk across it leaves footprints that harden into habits. Every moment of morning focus is you choosing which voices get voting rights in your mental parliament. You're not just thinking thoughts, you're selecting which reality you'll inhabit for the next 16 hours. The battle for your day isn't won at noon when challenges arise. It's won at dawn, in the silence, where you decide whether you'll be the author or the audience of your own existence. Number 3. The alchemy of voluntary suffering. Marcus Aurelius scratched into his journal by candlelight. Fire feeds on obstacles. When a small flame meets a pile of wood, it might be extinguished. But a bonfire, it consumes everything thrown at it and grows stronger. Every morning you have the opportunity to practice what I call voluntary crucifixion, the deliberate choice to nail your comfort to the cross of growth. Cold shower, that's not water, that's liquid meditation forcing presence into every screaming pore. The gym at 5 a.m. That's not exercise, that's you teaching your body that your will is stronger than its whimpering. Society has sold you the toxic myth that comfort is the goal, but comfort is where souls go to atrophy. The Stoics understood that voluntary hardship in the morning inoculates you against involuntary suffering later. When you choose your battles at dawn, the unexpected wars at noon feel like skirmishes. Stand under that cold water tomorrow and feel your ancestors' strength flooding your bloodstream. They survived ice ages and predators, plagues and wars, so you could stand here debating whether 60 seconds of discomfort is too much to bear. Your comfort is built on their calluses, your ease purchased with their agony. The morning suffering you choose becomes the afternoon strength you wield. Every rep you complete when your muscles scream for mercy, every minute you meditate when your mind demands distraction, every cold shower you endure when warmth beckons, these aren't punishments. They're deposits in your psychological bank account, accumulating compound interest in the currency of character. You've been avoiding discomfort like it's your enemy, but discomfort is your blacksmith. It's the hammer that beats your soft iron into steel. Without it, you remain raw material, all potential, no power. The Stoics didn't seek suffering, but they didn't run from it either. They understood that the morning hours offer a laboratory where you can practice dying to your lesser self. When you voluntarily embrace hardship at dawn, you're sending a telegram to the universe. I'm not here to survive. I'm here to evolve. You're declaring that your growth matters more than your comfort, that your potential outweighs your pleasure, that the person you're becoming is worth the pain of killing who you've been. Tomorrow morning, choose one thing that makes you uncomfortable and hunt it like it owes you money. Because it does. It owes you the person you could become if you stopped negotiating with necessity. Number 4. The currency of finite mornings. Seneca wrote while wealth crumbled around him, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. Life is long if you know how to use it." Calculate this with me. If you live to 75, you have approximately 27,375 mornings. You've already spent thousands. How many do you remember? How many transformed you? How many were murdered by the snooze button, sacrificed on the altar of just 5 more minutes? Your mornings aren't renewable resources, they're finite currency, and you're spending them like a drunk billionaire who thinks the money will never run out. Every morning you waste is a morning someone on their deathbed would trade everything to experience. Right now, someone is watching their last sunrise while you're debating whether to watch yours at all. The Stoics practiced memento mori. Remember you must die. But I want you to practice something more visceral. Memento main. Remember your mornings are numbered. Tomorrow's sunrise isn't guaranteed. It's a statistical probability you've mistaken for a promise. The universe owes you nothing, especially not another dawn. Visualize this. You're standing in a vast warehouse filled with 27,375 boxes. Each box contains one morning. Now watch as thousands of those boxes burst into flames, the mornings you've already spent. Look at what remains. That's your inventory. That's all the raw material you have left to build your masterpiece. Still feel like hitting snooze? Every morning you wake up, death removes another box from your warehouse. It doesn't care if you used yesterday's box to build something magnificent or if you let it rot while scrolling through strangers' achievements. Death is an accountant who doesn't accept excuses, only receipts. But here's the paradox that makes Stoics smile. When you truly understand your mornings are numbered, each one becomes infinite. When you know this could be your last sunrise, you stop sleepwalking through it. Colors become more vivid. Coffee tastes like liquid gratitude. The ordinary morning air feels like a gift you never knew you were receiving. Tomorrow morning, wake up like someone who just got diagnosed with life. Terminal, beautiful, urgent life. Because whether you acknowledge it or not, that's exactly what you have. The only question is whether you'll spend your remaining mornings like a miser hoarding coins or like a warrior investing in eternity. Number 5. The Revolution of Ruthless Clarity. Epictetus burned these words into history. Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. But let me tell you what he really meant. Every morning, you wake up carrying invisible chains, the expectations of people who wouldn't attend your funeral, the opinions of strangers who don't know your middle name, the judgments of ghosts who exist only in your imagination. You've become a puppet dancing to strings held by everyone except yourself. Tomorrow morning, I want you to commit psychological arson. Burn down every expectation that wasn't built by your own hands. Set fire to every should that someone else planted in your garden. Watch the smoke rise as you incinerate the performance you've been giving for an audience that isn't even watching. The morning hours possess a scalpel-sharp clarity that gets dulled by the day's complications. At 5 a.m., before the world's noise pollutes your frequency, you can hear something magnificent, your own truth, unfiltered and unflinching. But most people are terrified of that silence, because in it they might discover they've been living someone else's life. Strip yourself naked of pretense tomorrow morning. Stand in front of your mirror and ask the reflection, whose life am I living? If the answer isn't yours, you're committing the only unforgivable sin in Stoicism, the sin of self-betrayal. You're treating your existence like a dress rehearsal when this is the only performance you'll ever give. The Stoics understood that clarity is violence. It destroys the comfortable lies you've been nursing. It demolishes the elaborate excuses you've constructed. It annihilates the fictional character you've been playing and forces you to confront the raw, bleeding truth of who you actually are versus who you pretend to be. Every morning, you have a choice. Continue the charade or commence the revolution. Keep wearing masks that are suffocating your spirit or breathe the dangerous oxygen of authenticity. Maintain the exhausting performance or drop the script and improvise your truth. But here's what happens when you choose ruthless morning clarity. You become unemployable by other people's expectations. You become allergic to your own excuses. You become incapable of accepting anything less than your own maximum potential. This isn't comfortable. It's not supposed to be. Comfort is for people who've decided their growth is complete. When you practice brutal honesty in the morning silence, you're performing surgery on your own soul, cutting away the cancerous compromises, the metastasized mediocrity, the tumors of tolerated dissatisfaction. It hurts because healing requires feeling everything you've been numbing. Tomorrow morning, write down 3 lies you've been living and burn the paper. Watch the smoke carry away your old agreements with insufficiency. This isn't just symbolic, it's psychological alchemy, transforming the lead of your limitations into the gold of your liberation. Number 6. The sacred violence of becoming. Marcus Aurelius, while watching thousands die from plague, wrote, "What we do now echoes in eternity." Let me paint you a picture that will haunt your comfortable sleep forever. Right now, in parallel dimensions of possibility, there exist infinite versions of you. One version gave up years ago and watches life through dead eyes. Another version said, "Enough this morning," and is currently revolutionizing their existence. But the most terrifying version, it's the one who could have been. The ghost of your unrealized potential, watching you waste mornings like a gambler burning money. Every morning you don't fully live is a small death. Every dawn you sleepwalk through is a funeral for possibilities. You're not just killing time, you're committing serial murder against the versions of yourself that are screaming to be born. Can you hear them? They're loudest in the morning silence, begging for just one chance to exist. The transformation isn't coming. The transformation is here, waiting in tomorrow's darkness like a patient predator. It doesn't need your motivation. It doesn't require your feelings to align. It only needs your decision, raw, violent, irreversible decision, to stop negotiating with your nature and start commanding it. Ancient Stoics had a practice called the view from above, imagining yourself from cosmic perspective to realize how small your problems are. But I want you to practice the view from within. Tomorrow morning, close your eyes and travel inside yourself, past the facades and fears, down to the molten core where your authentic power bubbles like magma. Feel it? That's not motivation. That's your suppressed magnificence demanding eruption. You've been treating your mornings like waiting rooms when they're actually delivery rooms. Something is always being born at dawn, either your excuses or your excellence, your reasons or your results, your stories or your glory. The morning doesn't care which you choose, but your deathbed will. The most violent act you can commit against the universe's mediocrity is to wake up tomorrow and refuse to be ordinary, to rise like you're keeping an appointment with greatness, to move through your morning routine like a samurai performing a sacred ritual before battle. Because that's what every morning is, a battle for the territory of your potential. When death comes, and it will come, it won't ask about your bank account or your social media followers. It will ask one question: did you become who you were capable of becoming? And you'll have to answer with the accumulated weight of every morning you either seized or surrendered. Tomorrow's dawn is your dojo, your battlefield, your laboratory, your cathedral, your revolution, your one chance to practice being alive before you're not. The Stoics knew this. They felt the weight of finite mornings pressing against their consciousness. They understood that every sunrise is simultaneously a birth and a death, something beginning, something ending, nothing ever repeated. The dawn is coming. In a few hours, you'll face the same choice that has defined every human who ever lived: comfort or growth, sleep or awakening, existing or living. The Stoics didn't leave us philosophy. They left us weapons. Every quote, every practice, every morning principle you've just absorbed. These aren't ideas to consider. They're ammunition for the war against your lesser self. Tomorrow morning, when that alarm explodes into your unconsciousness, remember this: you're not just waking up. You're accepting an invitation to join an ancient brotherhood and sisterhood of morning warriors who chose difficulty over ease, growth over comfort, becoming over being. Your transformation doesn't require permission. It doesn't need perfect conditions. It only needs you to show up in the darkness while the world sleeps, and do what warriors have always done. Choose the harder path because it leads to the higher ground. If these words have awakened something primal within you, like this video, subscribe to join our Dawn Rebellion. Share this with someone whose potential is suffocating under comfort's pillow. Comment below with your morning commitment. Tomorrow morning, you stop asking for change and start commanding it.